So, Logan Paul may have joked about being barely able to survive against Floyd Mayweather, but today, let's look at boxers who almost died in the ring. Which fighter risked it all to give his family Christmas gifts? Whose career did Terrell Williams end? Stick around till the end, and we'll tell you which boxer barely made it out alive after a bout with a bear. First off, we have the story of Billy Miske. Let's wind back the years all the way to the 1920s. Billy Miske, who was nicknamed the St. Paul Thunderbolt, was born in Minnesota. His career spanned from 1913 to 1923, and he made his debut at the age of 18. He was known for being someone who wouldn't quit, and it was difficult to get a punch on him. During his career in the light heavyweight category, he had an excellent record, winning 45 out of the 53 bouts he fought. 34 of his wins came from knockouts, while he was knocked out only once in his career. At the young age of 24, he was diagnosed with Bright's disease and was told by his doctor he had only 5 years left. Bright's disease is a debilitating kidney condition. Now, although Billy Miske was quite a successful boxer, he had debts of over $100,000 from his business ventures, so he kept his condition a secret and went about fighting. During a fight in 1920 for the heavyweight title, he was struck so hard that a big purple welt appeared near his heart. Miske continued fighting till the end in his trademark fashion, but eventually he was knocked out. By 1923, the effects of Bright's disease had caught up with Miske, and he was not even able to train, let alone get into the ring. Doctors advised him that it was the end of the road and that it was going to be his last Christmas. Miske had only one thought in his mind. It was his last Christmas, and he didn't have enough cash to buy his kids presents. A fight is then scheduled against Bill Brennan, who was known for being a hard hitter. By the time the fight took place in November 1923, Miske hadn't trained or boxed for around a year. In fact, he spent most of his time in bed, drinking soup and eating boiled fish to recuperate some of his strength. Miske won the fight in the fourth round by knocking out Bill Brennan. Miske was in a terrible condition at the end of the fight, but the $2,400 for his efforts may have given him some joy. His family celebrated Christmas that year. However, Miske tragically died a few days later on New Year's Day, 1924. Next up, let's take a look at Teofimo Lopez. Lopez is a former unified lightweight world champion. He had reached such prominence that in 2021, he was ranked as the world's 5th best active boxer pound for pound. By 2021, he had won all 16 of his professional matches, with 12 wins coming from knockouts. On November 27, 2021, he was to face fellow lightweight George Kambosos to defend his unified lightweight world championship belt. It was a closely contested match, and Lopez lost based on the judge's decision to award the bout to George Kambosos. During his post-fight checkup at the Bellevue Hospital in New York, doctors in the emergency room noticed he had air cavities in his lungs, heart, and neck. Medical experts say that a punch to his neck or chest was enough to trigger a lung collapse, and that Lopez had barely made it out alive. Lopez said that he was facing some difficulties before the fight, but he thought it was just asthma or a side effect of COVID-19, which he had contracted a few months prior. Before the weigh-in for the fight, Lopez had begun experiencing shortness of breath and swelling in the neck area. At that time, his father, who was also his trainer, felt that it might just be due to acid reflux or dehydration. So Lopez tried homemade remedies like consuming Gatorade, hot tea, soda, antacids, and applying compresses with hot towels. None of these remedies worked, and by the time the fight was due to take place, his neck, chest, and throat were sore and hurting. One of Lopez's doctors stated he could have died for sure. How he breathed, I can't even explain to you. It's like somebody tied a 300-pound set of weights around his chest, like his neck and chest were in a vice. That's how he fought. Next, let's look at the middleweight boxer Gerald McClellan, who was often compared to a young Mike Tyson. In 1995, McClellan was a contender for the WBC Super Middleweight Championship. He was scheduled to fight Nigel Benn for the title. Now, McClellan usually fights in the middleweight class, but for this fight, he gained a few pounds, increasing his weight to 168 pounds in order to compete in the super middleweight class. McClellan won the first round in an impressive fashion, almost knocking Ben out of the ring. However, Ben came back strongly. During the fight, McClellan suffered a brain injury, and he started acting erratically. By the 10th round, McClellan collapsed in a corner of the ring. Though McClellan survived the night, he has no memory of the fight. Due to his brain injury, he lost his sense of sight and hearing and was paralyzed. He also suffers from severe short-term memory issues. Nigel Benn's career took a nosedive after this fight. It seems like the trauma took hold of him, and he has become a shell of the fighter he was. Next, Pritchard Colon's career ended by illegal punches. The story of Pritchard Colon is even more bizarre. Pritchard Colon is an honorary WBC world champion. During his professional career between 2013 and 2015, he was touted to be a fighter on his way up. He had a successful stint with 16 wins and no losses in these 2 years. In a fight against Terrell Williams at the Eagle Bank Arena in Virginia, Pritchard was punched punched on the back of his head on multiple occasions. Now, hits to the back of the head are considered illegal in boxing because they tend to cause serious injuries. Pritchard was soon dizzy and incoherent. He was taken to the hospital and was diagnosed with brain bleeding. Pritchard was in a comatose state for over 200 days. At present, though, he is in a stable condition, though it doesn't seem like he will ever recover from his vegetative state. Pritchard barely survived the fight, and his severe injuries can be blamed on the illegal tactics used by Terrell Williams. In addition, Pritchard had complained to the referee about the multiple illegal punches thrown by Williams, yet the referee didn't take any action. There have also been allegations that the event was poorly managed. Pritchard and Williams were not even supposed to be on the card, but were brought in at the last minute since other fighters had pulled out. Similarly, British middleweight Rod Douglas was facing off against Harold Graham in a middleweight title bout in 1989. Douglas ended up losing the bout after 9 rounds. He suffered from a brain injury during the fight and had to be rushed to the hospital. Doctors noticed a blood clot on his brain and conducted an emergency surgery to remove the blood clot. This fight is also rather strange. Harold Graham's regarded as one of the greatest British boxers of all time. In comparison, Rod Douglas was a rookie compared to him. Graham spent most of the bout taunting Douglas, telling him to at least get one punch in. During the end of the fight, Douglas had tired himself chasing Graham around the ring. Graham then ended the ordeal with a flurry of punches. In 1994, a bloody bout took place between heavyweights Herbie Hyde and Michael Bent over the WBO heavyweight title. Now, this fight had some drama even before it was due to start. Earlier in 1994, a press conference to announce the date of the title bout was held. Bent was wearing a Millwall baseball cap on that day. Herbie Hyde slapped Bent's head to knock the cap over. An incensed Bent retaliated, and all of a sudden punches were being thrown, and a full-blown brawl had broken out. Hyde eventually won the title fight. Hours after the fight, Bent collapsed and had to be rushed to the hospital. Bent was informed that he had suffered brain damage during the fight, and he would have to retire from the sport. Now we have Ilya Medvedev. Professional boxer Ilya Medvedev was out fishing with his friend in 2021. Out of nowhere, a brown bear popped out and attacked them. The bear mauled his friend to death. Seeing this, an enraged Medvedev fought and stabbed the bear in a desperate showdown. The boxer was severely mauled by the bear, and he was in grave condition. After being taken to the hospital, Medvedev had to be put in a medically induced coma. He is still recovering from his injuries and is due for multiple rounds of facial reconstructive surgery. Boxers tend to undergo tremendous pain and suffering for the sport they love. Sometimes they are minutes away from a life-threatening injury and barely make it out of the ring. Do you know of any other boxers with similar stories? Is boxing a risky sport? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and thanks for watching.